Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and today we're checking out this cheap little Peavey amplifier, practice amplifier that I found at a pawn shop for $22. If you look at the prices for these lately on Reverb, people are asking crazy prices for a little Peavey practice amp. Now, why is that? So this is a great little amplifier. It's always been a great little amplifier, but it just recently got a huge spike in popularity. And this is a Peavey 1980s Peavey Decade, made in USA. It's very simple. It's a 10 watt amp, 4 ohms, little 8-inch speaker. It doesn't have it's got 2 little inputs, and then a 3-band EQ, and then a couple pre and post gain stages, and that's it. So the reason the price on these kind of skyrocketed is that Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age did a documentary, and he mentioned that this amp was his secret weapon. On the album Queens of the Stone Age Songs for the Deaf, on the track No One Knows, this amplifier was actually credited for the recording of that song. It's really cool. It's got a really aggressive and wiry sound. And if you're lucky, you can still find these in pawn shops and used stores and that kind of a thing. The price on these just exploded fairly recently. And before that, you could pick them up all day long for like $20 to $50. Peavey have also made a reissue of these that you can buy, which is pretty cool. Kind of going after the same thing because these are so popular now. They also make a pedal that captures the same, voice of this amplifier in a pedal form. So today we're just going to go through the amp a little bit. I'm going to take it apart. We can have a look at the insides, and then I'm going to plug it in and we can see how it sounds. All right, let's go ahead.
This is the secret weapon that I really shouldn't be.
This is like the fucking hard rock equivalent of like who shot JFK is about to be revealed here.
This is a Peavey Decade.
Jesus Christ, I can't believe this is really happening right now. This
thing is incredible. This is the best bass amp, guitar amp.
I mean, this was like every piet, every school dance.
It just sounds so wiry. Just like instant kinks.
All right, so I found this at a local pawn shop for like $22 with tax. I still love going to pawn shops because, for reasons like this, if you know the market and if you know these little sleeper things that not a lot of people are knowledgeable about, you can find great deals. Because these amps used to be worth almost nothing, and then they've only just recently gotten to crazy high levels because of Josh Homme and the association with Queens of the Stone Age and their sound. So this is like a mid-USA Peavey, small practice amp. It's got 4 ohms, it's got 10 watts, and it's an 8-inch speaker. It's made in USA because all the Peavey amps used to be made in the USA in the early days. And it's very simple. It's just got a pre and a post gain and a 3-band EQ. You've got a normal input and a saturation input. So the normal input feeds directly into the amp's preamp with the standard clean gain structure. The saturation input, though, reroutes your guitar signal through an extra transistor gain stage, effectively doubling up on clipping before the EQ section. It kind of gives you like a built-in overdrive circuit, similar to stacking a fuzz or a distortion pedal before your amp's input. So this is like a built-in, overdrive before the EQ. And you can still use the pre-gain and the post-gain. So this is like your input level, and then the post-gain is like your master volume to balance how hard you hit the circuit. So crank the pre-gain for more grit and post-gain to tame the overall, loudness. It's described as a raw, grainy, mid-forward distortion that borders on fuzz when pushed. It's got a tight low end, very present mids, and a slightly compressed top end. Signature solid state snarl, they call it. And it's apparently really good for recording because it cuts through a dense mix and records really well at the, with the lower volumes. And because it's got all analog transistor clipping, the harmonics sound really immediate and percussive. And Josh Homme said that the saturation input is the secret weapon. It lets him get heavy biting distortion at living room levels. On Songs of the Deaf, he used the Decade through saturation input, mic'd up, and blended it with some bigger tube amps. And it's pretty heavy. I'd say it's like 10 to 15 pounds. It seems like it's built like a rock. It's got these metal, you know, corners on there. Feels like it's pretty solid cabinet, and it's got this really like rhino skin kind of textured vinyl on the outside with a really good strap. So it's definitely a well-built amplifier. On the back, you've got 12 volt DC in, you've got a preamp out, and you've got your power cable and your little 8-inch speaker here with a little baffle. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and take out the amp part, and so we can have a look at that. Again, I'm not an amp tech or really an amp guy, really. So I'm just kind of trying to follow the same format as my other videos, but I don't know as much. So this is just for science. If someone wants to look at the circuit or kind of have a look at what's inside, if they've never seen one before, this is for you. And here it says model, decade, serial number 1A786986. It's got the Peavey address on there in the USA, and it says made in USA. And it's just held in there by 4 screws, so it's easy to get out. There's a look at the serial number for the transformer. And then here's a look at the circuit. I'll get a nice, slow, long look for anyone who might be interested in this. I don't know what I'm looking at, to be clear. Try to get nice and zoomed in. But there you go. It looks nice and clean and well done for sure. Alright, so yeah, not much to this amplifier, but it sounds really cool. So let's go ahead and plug it in and hear how it sounds. So I think this amp is a little bit of a one-trick pony, but I'm just going to go through the different, you know, settings to see what sounds we can get out of it. I'm going to be using my 2002 Les Paul Standard, and I'm just going to use the bridge pickup just to make things easy. And I'll just go through the settings a little bit here. You've got 2 different inputs. This is the normal input. The saturation input is a little bit better for the gain. Yeah, it's a little scratchy. This saturation channel just allows it to get more of that gain at lower volumes, so let's just try that out. All right, final thoughts on this $20 or, you know, now $900 Peavey Decade amp from the 80s. This is just another example of why you need to check out garage sales and pawn shops, because you never know. And for someone like me who just loves guitar gear or gear in general, I've gotten lucky so many times. You just got to get out there and look. But this amp is great. It's nice and small, super portable. It has a great distinctive sound, easy to record, and it's solid state, so you don't have to worry about all the maintenance, you know, that a tube amp needs. This will probably last another, you know, 40 years easy with nothing ever needed to it. And I can use it for recording or little jams or, you know, small gigs if that's the sound I'm looking for. So it's a pretty cool, well-built amplifier, and for 20 bucks I can't complain. If you come across one of these for a good price, I would say snap it up, because they're not making any more of them. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you for tuning in to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and I'll have more for you really soon. Thanks a lot.